Hey guys, this is Adam with See You Later Leaner, and I'm here with a returning guest. We have Hannah in the house today,
Yeah, woo woo.
one of my natural bikini competitors.
Yes.
And after some rocky situations last year, which we'll talk about,
Yes.
um, it's time to get her on stage again in about 7 weeks now.
7 weeks out. Seven
Yeah,
weeks out from the Las Vegas Pro-Am Natural Classic.
that's awesome.
And then 8 weeks out from the Power Pit Natural Pro Qualifier.
Wild to think about. I have
Yeah.
a few of you guys going in for that show. It's always an incredible show.
Yeah.
I love that Tyler and the NPC IFBB put this together for you guys a few years ago as a second show to qualify for your IFBB Pro card naturally.
Yeah. It really was a great addition because before it was just the Ben Weeder, and so to give us natural athletes a second opportunity to compete against fellow natural athletes to go pro, it was a great addition, much needed.
Yeah. And you guys came up here, you and your best friend Hyla,
Yeah.
who we'll also be podcasting with, to, get a look at and spend some time together. And it's been great. I'll definitely pin a check-in video here because you look incredible. But let's kind of talk about last year because we had some really big plans on going into the Weeder. I've been through a lot as a coach, and there's always certain situations that are a lot more trying than others. And even as well as I know you, and as long as I've been coaching, sometimes those situations are just hard because everyone handles certain situations differently,
Yes.
But go ahead and tell us kind of about your season last year.
Yeah, so we did. It was a Arizona show, Iron Games,
Yes.
by Wings of Strength. Probably my favorite show I've ever done, if I'm going to be honest. It was ran very smoothly. My best friend Hyla was part of the expediters, so it was nice to have, because you weren't able to make that show, so it was nice to have her backstage. And it also just it was me shaking the dust off for the season, and it was just a beautiful stage. The stage was smooth, it was just a beautiful show. Ended up placing second, which was awesome. It was coming out of a long off season, placing second. I was super happy. We got great feedback. So then 3 weeks afterwards, we did the West
Coast
Coast.
Naturals, yes.
Yes. And then that was in Anaheim, and it was attached to an expo. So the expo was incredible. It was super cool. And it was a good show. It wasn't my favorite of the season, kind of a little rushed, but still was a good show. Got second place again. We were shooting for the Natural City of Lights after that, and then rolling into the Ben Weeder. And I was getting ready in August, and it was Labor Day. I arrived at work, and I was sitting at work, and I had gotten a text message from my dad that my brother had killed himself. And you don't really know how to attack those things, you don't. It just felt like the whole world had stopped, and it didn't feel real. And I remember going to my family's, we're all grieving, and the only thing in my mind was, I told Colton, I was like, I don't think I can lock in. I don't think I can give my all for the rest of this season. And that is something I wanted to do going into my national show, is I wanted to give my all. And he's like, well, talk to Adam, see, give yourself a week, see how you feel. And I'm an emotional eater, okay? I'm not going to be shy about it. I am an emotional eater. And so the food noise is already loud when you're in prep.
Mm-hmm.
But then you add that with grief, and it's just it is so hard. I'm like, I don't want to be that competitor that uses prep to hide her bigger issues.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really sat with myself that week, and I still checked in with you. Literally found out my brother died Monday, checked in with you Tuesday. I was like, this is probably such a morbid check-in, Adam, but this is what happened. Here's my picture. And you were like, I don't even know what to say. Like, you called me, you checked in on me. Between you, Hyla, and Colton, I don't know how I would have gotten through that month.
Yeah.
But you know, by probably the third week of September, we had officially pulled out of prep, and I told myself, I was like, my brother would not want me to lose my dream and everything that I've worked for.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I can't just let this all slip through my fingers. All of the hard work I've made, everything I've done, because he would be mad at me. He would.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but I also don't want to show up to a national show that I've been dreaming about for 6 years with a subpar physique,
Mm-hmm.
shoving my grief down. And then another thing that came in my mind was, if I go to this show and it doesn't go the way I want it to, then I'm going to get bitter towards the sport. Then all my grief is going to hit me at once. It just would have been a storm of issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I told myself, I was like, we're going to take a mini off season and we're going to start going to therapy, because I am a huge advocate for mental health, especially after losing my brother to his mental health. And that's been a big thing on my TikTok, is sharing not only my physical health, but my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I think not enough competitors in this sport take their mental health serious enough, because you can see them start to crumble when things get really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that there, I found through going to therapy, sitting with my grief, working through it, having a whole slew of other things that I've had to work through. I was like, that was a missing piece in my last prep, was my mental strength.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought I had the mental strength, but what I was missing was I was still looking for that outside validation. Like, I needed that validation from my best friend. I needed that validation from you. I needed that validation from Colton, and I couldn't believe in myself. And it was crazy going through this whole process. I was like, I found a way to believe in myself, like truly be like, yeah, I got this. Like, I am that bitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a really hard 4 months, but we kept things reined in. We only got 15 pounds above stage weight. And I told myself, I was like, I need to treat this little mini off season the best I can with every aspect, so that I can come back next year and I can make my brother proud. I can make myself proud. And that's all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
I told myself going into this season, I'm not proving this for anyone. It's just proof for myself, and it's proof for him that I followed through with my promise and my journey. And funny enough, his birthday is my wedding anniversary, February 8th. And Colton and I went to California to celebrate and to also go to the beach, because he was a beach guy. And I just got this overwhelming feeling that he would be so fucking proud of how I handled that entire situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that actually feeling my grief and working through it and not just shoving it down like, no, I got to finish this prep. I got to finish what I started, but just taking a step back, taking that step back is really what I needed.
Yeah. I think that that's so important to know yourself and know to do that. As a coach, it's hard because I think everyone, when I get a check-in like that, I'm like, this is more than just macros. I'm like, I don't even want to talk about macros. But I also know how driven you are too. And I think I even remember the voice memo I sent you. Like, I kind of don't want to talk about macros. Let's talk. But just call me at your earliest convenience. And like, no matter what I have going on, like, we got to get you in. I think we even said, like, let's not even worry about macros right now, but like maybe next week, but just kind of let me know when you're ready for that. Um, and then, handle that situation as well as we can. Um, I've coached a long time, but I've not been in many situations like that. But I have unfortunately been in some situations like that. Um, it's not often that happens, but I think grief is so interesting. It's really easy to feel like you have to feel sad forever, right? And not that you're not, not that you're not by like going to achieve your goals, right? And work towards those. Um, because obviously we miss the people dearly that we miss. And I think sometimes in the grieving process, there can be guilt for continuing your journey, and then there can be judgment too, right? Like, how could so and so be ready for,
Yeah.
this phase, or like judgment of, are you ready for those things? And, like, I know you truly took the steps. The nice thing is you have your friends, family, Hyla, to support you through this. And Colton's an amazing support piece too.
Oh, yeah.
But it's hard to be in your shoes because I think sometimes there's even judgment from people who have never stepped in your shoes to go through something like you did. And
Yes.
the reason it happens, I think, is because you're embarking a prep journey that just people can't do. So when they see you now overcome all this adversity through losing your brother and, now coming around and competing, it's just more of a reason that they can't do what you're doing. And
Yeah.
I had to touch on that concept because as I'm listening to you and kind of replaying everything because I've been along the journey and um all those things like kind of come to mind, that people go through these things, unfortunately, through the grieving process when you're already dealing with enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like. It just felt like everything was so maxed already. Because when you're depleted, and we
Yeah.
were in our depletion state, we were getting ready. And then you add on there like such a big loss. Like, I don't know how somebody would continue.
Hmm.
I personally knew I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like I said, I knew I would not have brought my best.
Hmm.
And it's crazy to me to think that some people have pushed through that. I've heard stories where they're like, "Oh, I finished out my prep."
Hmm.
There was no way I was going to do it.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like, it doesn't make you better than that person or that person better than you. It's
Right.
just knowing yourself.
Yeah.
We've seen Olympians show up not their best, and
Yeah.
maybe they shouldn't have pushed through,
Yeah.
but maybe they needed to.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, like, I'll bring up Reddit because Reddit's probably my favorite thing to talk shit on because it's just so goofy to me. Like, I swear to God, Reddit is coaches and people who are trying to sway these really weak-minded people that take anonymous advice so
I
seriously.
know.
But there's a lot of judgment on like what people are doing on there. And it's just so funny because if they just put the power into like achieving their own goals, like they would have so much more success. So it's like they're definitely missing integral like pieces of the
Yeah.
journey and how much more you can explore by like exploring these things yourself or just legitimately having like really close friends like Hyla through the process who are going through the same stuff you are that you can actually love, trust, and communicate with and learn together. Hey, here was a part of my journey that was really hard. And
Yeah.
maybe you never thought of it that way before,
Well, she was a critical part for me because when I did start going to therapy, I noticed a lot of unhealthy behaviors in my immediate family. And I did end up going no contact with a lot of my family.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through the holidays with Colton.
Yeah, yeah.
And Hyla was like, "We're making new traditions, baby." And I know she can relate. I'm not going to share her story, but she can relate to me on a lot of those things. And she was a huge advocate for me to get a grieving counselor and a therapist. And I have had therapy in the past. And so in my head, I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. And then I got through September, and September was a blur. And I was like, maybe I'm not fine. Maybe actually I do need help. And so she was a huge advocate for that. And then she really helped me get through the holidays because, you know, not only now am I grieving my brother, now I'm grieving other aspects of my family, and then going into the new year and everything. So without her and Colton, like I said, and then without you holding me grounded in my goal, you know, I probably would have flew off the handles, who knows? But I reminded myself, this is what I want. I've worked so hard for it. You know, I've been bodybuilding for 7 years. You know, I've been growing this physique for 7 years. I've had this dream for 7 years. And I'm like, am I really going to just let it all go? No, but it's okay to take a break.
Yeah.
If anybody is out there and if you're in prep and you're like, oh, shouldn't I? You probably shouldn't. And I now know that because now going into this prep, I'm like, damn, this is what a prep should feel like.
Yeah, more time's always better.
Yeah.
And even though it's a short time, the physique you brought into the posing at the Dragon Slayer today is blowing me away. It's incredible what you did in a short amount of time, you know, and the way you were able to overcome all that. Most people can't even plan a reverse diet, but when you have to pump the brakes on your season, also face a reverse unexpectedly with a whole lot of family events, and you're young, let's face it, you haven't had time to experience a whole lot of loss, and not a loss that close.
Not a loss in my adult life.
Yeah.
I experienced a loss when I was young, like 10. But grief is different as a kid than as an adult.
I lost my grandparents like so early. I was constantly surrounded by, you know, death my dad was most people's grandparents' age when I was growing up. And that always scared me and made me very, you know, scared. My father was very healthy and lived a very long life, but I was always very scared to lose him because all of my friends' grandparents were passing away that were his age.
Yeah.
But I experienced a lot of loss, you know, in my early adult life. And I think it's hard, you know, when you lose a brother. You know, that eventually happened to me in 2011 when I had lost Anthony. And it just hit so much different. But I had a lot of death to help me prepare, I think, initially. And I was older than you when I dealt with all that. But I'm really proud of you for being able to, you know, do this and be where you're at now. And, you know, just be a great advocate for mental health for the sport, you know, like, it's not necessarily a comparison game, but hopefully you guys can look at Hannah's story. And if you're going through something, you know, like you could definitely reach out to her and she would help you.
Yes.
I'll even help you guys. I have old clients reach out to me all the time, sometimes even just for like life advice, you know. I had one yesterday that was, you know, kind of hit home, you know, where I was like, I hadn't talked to this client in 6 years, but she really needed my help, you know. And I was like, I was so glad that I had made such an impact on her in my coaching life that with her, that she reached back out to me for help. And
that's that's ultimately what I wanted to do this season, was just to reach people in a different way than what I was trying to accomplish in the past. In the past, like I said, I was looking for that outside validation. I think that's why a lot of people get into the sport, right?
Yeah.
They're like, I want to look like a winner. I want to do this, this, this. And I guarantee if you go watch the old podcast that we did together, that's exactly probably what I said. But this season, I wanted to show people that there's more to life than bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
And B, like, if you are not healthy up here, it doesn't matter what you look like. Because last season I looked great, but because I was not solid up here, it didn't matter. I couldn't enjoy my prep. I couldn't see how good I was because I wasn't good up here.
Right.
And, you know, I want to reach those people so they can realize to start working on themselves mentally, because that is probably a huge missing piece in your journey. If you feel like I cannot get there, I can't get to my goal in this bodybuilding journey, it's probably because you haven't worked through things mentally upstairs that you really need to in order to really fully enjoy your journey. Because we get so focused on winning and the pro card and that outside validation. It's like, really what you should be learning is who you're becoming on this journey. Like, I look back at who I was 7 years ago, and she would be like, holy cow, like, look at us now, look at us go. But yeah, I really wanted to enter this season really just trying to reach people and taking care of their mental health.
Absolutely.
And showing that you can do it and still get to your goal. And whether you win or lose, it really doesn't matter. You still did the damn thing. You still have so many things, and you're still mentally strong. You didn't let that one show, that one placing ruin you, right? And yeah, that I told Colton, I was like, these are my 3 big goals when I go into this season. And I told him, I was like, I want to believe in myself, like truly believe in myself. I want to stay strong through the whole season, and I don't want to get wrapped up in like looking for everybody's validation. And he's like, I think those are great goals, and I have accomplished that. And I just hope it reaches other people, because I think we don't give ourselves enough credit on this journey.
Well, now with you being in fitness full time,
Yeah.
you get to light the candles of a lot of other people. And
Yes.
it's almost like the timing's perfect that you do get to light those torches now. And now being, working at any time,
Yeah.
you get to touch a lot of people now.
It's actually cool you bring that up, because I have a posing client, and she's new competitor, and she's doing OCB, which is All Natural Federation. But she came to me and she's like, Hannah, what if a girl shows up at my show and is just amazing and wins the whole thing? Like, what does that mean for me? And I was like, that's probably going to happen. You never know who's going to show up. I was like, so I got to bestow upon her something that I wish somebody would have shared with me. And I told her, I was like, your win is getting to that stage. She's a mom. She just had a kid. I was like, your win is going to be getting to that stage. You are going to be in the best shape of your life. I was like, you're going to challenge yourself in so many ways, and you're going to overcome them. I was like, getting on stage for the first time is a celebration. Continuing to get on stage is a privilege and a celebration. I was like, do not get wrapped up in the athletes that are showing up. I was like, get wrapped up in yourself. Get wrapped up in your journey. Get wrapped up in that side of things.
Yeah.
Because, and she was just like, yeah, I really appreciate that. It was just cool that I could share that experience that I wish I would have gotten, because I got in the side of bodybuilding where it was all about winning. My first season, why are you telling me that I'm going to become a pro? Like, that's not happening. But that's what was put in my mind. And it made the beginning of my journey, like every show was a letdown, because I wouldn't win. And it was just crushing, and it was crushing, and it was crushing. And I was like, I wish I could go back and actually celebrate
what you've done,
every show I've done and every prep I've accomplished. And that's, if I can, being in the fitness world now, if I'm blessed to have more posing clients or training clients, if I can bestow that onto them, like that will be a win for me because I wish I had that and I would love to be that for people.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's so cool. There need to be so many more coaches in this industry, you know? Like I know a lot of people think our market's oversaturated, but honestly, like we just need more eyes on fitness.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I really love Fit Model. I think, you know, people look at you guys and they're like, oh my God, I would never get there.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people even think that with Fit Model, but sometimes they're like, well, maybe if I try, I might get there. And then maybe we find there's actually a bikini competitor in the making because they tried in the first place. They realize they gain muscle super fast.
Yeah.
It's always different. I always say it's not really a competition on like what division's the best. It's just compete or just make yourself better and
That
you know lose
that's
the first
it.
10 pounds or gain
Yes.
the delt caps you've wanted to gain or
You
the
know, I
glutes.
see these new young girls on social media. I want a pro card. And I'm like, girlfriend, you don't even know what that means. I mean, in a loving way, like this can be a journey where you learn so much about yourself if you just allow it to be and not get wrapped up in the shiny trophy, but like really learn yourself,
Yeah,
you
the
know? And
journey not the destination
yeah,
in all parts of the journey, the spiritual, the
all
mental,
parts.
and just making everything align so your ship sails
Yep.
and it catches the wind, you know.
And the trials will happen. They happen to everybody.
Yep.
And truthfully, how you come out on the other side of those trials is going to makes you or breaks you as an athlete because there's no athlete on that stage. Laura Amy, Ashley, none of them are on that stage because they had a perfect life and a perfect run and a perfect bodybuilding and that's where they're at. No,
Mm-hmm.
they've had their own trials. You know, Amy Delgado, for a great example, I remember sitting in that room when she won her pro card. Okay, it was her first season competing. She won her pro card.
Mm-hmm.
And her first pro season did not go how she wanted. She got kicked on her booty, but she got up and she rose and she rose. And now look at her. She's
Mm-hmm.
the new Arnold winner. And it's like, are
Yeah,
you going
yeah.
to let being kicked on your butt end your season?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you going to get yourself back up, still having good sportsmanship? Because there's a lot of people that get that like bitterness and then they are mean to other people in the sport. So still keeping that sportsmanship, but rising and becoming a better competitor.
Yeah.
You know, it's all part of the journey.
Yeah, I won't get in too much detail, but I spoke to Amy post Arnold win, and a big piece of what she told me on, you know, what her difference was this year versus any of her other seasons was mental health. And actually, she got very into religion this year,
Yeah.
and that really set her mind in a very positive
Yeah.
spot. And she said that's what it was to complete me for this. And she
Yeah.
said she had tried some of the best like sports psychologists in the world, but like turning, you know, faith over was huge for her. And, you know, obviously I should let her speak of her journey. And I really admire that she's willing to speak to me on a deeper level. And
Yeah.
I'll never take that for granted. But I don't think she would care that I said what I said now,
Well,
you know.
I'm glad you shared it because that was exactly my missing piece this year too.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I think it's a lot of competitors missing piece. Like I said, if you don't have your mental health right, nothing else is going to fall into place.
I agree.
So
Yeah, that's the big thing with this podcast is, you know, getting that mental health. I always say where the head goes, the body goes, and that's
yeah,
so important.
yeah. Because I
So,
mean, I am a spiraling overthinker. Like I will turn a little zit on my arm into a terrible disease.
oh yeah,
And that is something my therapist has had me work on. And it's amazing how much better my body physically feels this year just getting that right.
yeah,
Like I used to have I have scoliosis in my upper back and I would just have a constant pain in this side of my body. And this year I don't have any of that pain.
mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, it's amazing what the mind does.
It really is.
It
You know,
is.
we talk about circadian patterns a lot with like functional health and
Yeah.
trying to get clients to de-stress. But like if it's 2 p.m. and this is the time that you're stressed, you're just always going to find that perpetual time that you're like, oh, I'm anxious. It's time for me to go through the motions of worry. And it really manifests and sets in. But if you have the power to change that and recognize it, or it doesn't have to change right away, but keep making the time to change that, that's
Yeah.
huge. So,
Yeah.
well, I'm really excited for your season,
Thank
excited to
you.
get you into Austin's show. He had
Yeah.
texted me today and said, who do you have competing? And I know it's because he saw you were here. I was like,
Yeah.
you know who I've got coming
Coming
in.
for you.
Yeah, yeah. So,
But I'm just really, truly, I am just feel so overwhelmed with gratitude to be able to have my mental well-being, my physical well-being, and my emotional well-being to do what I love, because
yeah,
that's really what it comes down to. Am I going into the season hopeful? Absolutely.
yeah,
I've been working 7 years, but I feel so grateful that I actually get to do this season, because I didn't get to do it last season.
yeah.
And I remember sitting there at the bed watching the bed weeder, and I bawled the entire weekend. And I was just like, competing really is a privilege, and we tend to forget it because, you know, we get so wrapped in the misery of it, right?
hmm
Because it can be tough. But
Yeah,
funny enough, I haven't really hit that this season. I haven't been like, I just want this prep to be over.
right.
No, I've just been soaking it all in. So
I love that.
it is, yeah.
And it's going to show on stage May 9th and then the show after. So,
Yes, it is.
well, I'm glad you guys took the time to watch this episode, and we will see you guys later, leaner.